thing too is, I mean, Epstein hires this all-star team of lawyers, some of the most well-regarded Americans like Kenneth Starr and Alan Dershowitz, beloved by millions across the country. And, he gets this incredible deal. But clearly, one of the people that could possibly be an unindicted co-conspirator is one of his own lawyers, Alan Dershowitz. And, you talk about in your book dealing with him, and you were not the first guest we've had on who's had some difficult dealings with Alan Dershowitz, and he's a lawyer in 100% of his life, it seems like, because he offers to show you these documents. I mean, can you just tell that story real quick, because it is a good insight into his
and
personality.
I'm not the only reporter he's done this to. I mean, he claimed, from the get-go, I have all these documents that prove without a doubt that Virginia Giuffre, who is the woman that has accused him of sexually abusing her under Epstein's direction, that she is a total liar. And I can prove it with these documents. So the first time I have ever brought an editor with me to an interview, I bring my editor, Casey, to Mr. Dershowitz's apartment in Miami Beach to look at this evidence he says he has. And I mean, we literally were there. I think I say the exact time in the book, but it was like 5 hours or something. It was an incredible amount of time. And ironically, when I went to look it up later, when I wrote the book, it was April Fool's Day.
Oh, good Lord.
Because I was looking at my notes and piecing together, when did I do this interview? I'm like, oh my God, I figured.
And he did that on purpose. The classic lawyers.
Yeah,
it's an obscure legal precept, but if you show someone documents on April Fool's Day, you can show whatever you want.
That's the calendar's fingers crossed move.
Yeah. So he has all these calendars, which these are his calendars. So we're trying to diplomatically explain to him that we just can't take your word for it, that you were where you were. You could, in every single day for the 3-year period where Virginia claims she was abused for him, he can account for his time. But of course, he's the one that created the calendars.
Yes, exactly.
So what we said was, we're happy to look into this, which would have been a daunting, especially for a smaller newspaper like the Herald. It wouldn't have been a big deal maybe for the New York Times to do this, but we were willing to take the 3 years on, and there were piles and piles and piles of paper that he put out. And we said, we're willing to do this and try to verify this, And so we want copies. No, we're not. I'm not going to give you copies. I'm like, well, we have to verify it. We have to authenticate what you're saying. Well, no, you could sit here right now and you can copy everything down. It would have taken us 3 weeks to do that. I mean, he would not give us the documents. And he's done the same thing to other journalists as well, and then afterwards, he basically goes public and says, Julie K. Brown refused to look at the documents that I had, or I told her I would give her all the proof, but she didn't want to even look at it, and that's what he does,
Yeah.
And it's not true. We were happy to do that. It would have been quite a daunting, as I said, there were hundreds and hundreds. I mean, it was years worth of his calendar, but we would have to call, like if he said he had lunch, on one of the days where Virginia said that this happened, we would have had to, this is what journalists do. We confirm the information. We don't take your word for it. So he wouldn't let us do that. And, that's just what, but he's able to do that and go on, especially TV news, and say things like that. And no one challenges him on it because they don't really understand that the spin that he puts on it.
Well, again, talk about performers, right? I mean, that's like half of the job of what he does is just like spinning these tall tales and saying, this is the, oh, well, she didn't want to verify. So what can I say? I've got my story and putting on a big show. I mean, he's like a big actor basically for the news media, it feels like.
Yeah. Yeah, and they eat it up,
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the controversy with the BBC.
Incredible.
Oh my God. I love the BBC being like, we need to investigate internally how that happened. It's like, how it happened.
I
Come
mean,
on.
he's been on all these things. BBC is not the only show that allows Dershowitz to do that.
No.
He's been all over network TV and and talk shows, and
Yeah.
they never they never ask someone to go on and counterbalance what he's saying. They just let him talk and say his own spiel on things without ever challenging him.
Yeah, I mean, and he is. I again, like I think even just doing his little song and dance with showing you those documents and not letting you take them. That's so he can later say that on TV that
Right.
he doesn't have any intention of actually anyone looking into this stuff.
No.
Yeah.
No. It's a classic move.
And I think he freaks a lot of people out. I can't remember who it was, but someone was talking to me. It's like, you notice there's never been like a real Dershowitz biography.
I said that.
You did,
that,
yes.
I think I said that to you because I had that in my book. He is one of the most famous lawyers of all time, probably in our country at least. And nobody's ever written a biography or really very much about him. Now, I'm trying to remember the name of the New Yorker reporter that did a profile of him right after it appeared, right after my series. Carol, I want to say Brooker.
Oh, I read that.
I'm sorry, I can't remember her name because it was an excellent article, and he tortured her and the New Yorker over that story. I mean, he was like a pit bull on every little thing, and that's what he does. He makes it so that it's impossible to write anything critical about him.
Yeah, well, Dershowitz, if you're listening to this, and I know you are a subscriber, we'll throw Julie the Wolves because you technically are our lawyer. No, he is. Yeah, I am. His day. I mean, unfortunately, I think it's probably going to come after he passes away. But when it comes out about Dershowitz, it's going to come out. And I think there's probably a lot of people sitting on a lot of stuff. But the man loves his lawsuits. What can you say? I mean, he is has the sort of gift, the devilish gift of shamelessness. And so he's willing to sue anyone about anything, no matter how bad it looks for him. And, he's talking about advising Prince Andrew. There was an article that came out, I think, in the Sunday Times about how he even possibly raised the issue of Ghislaine Maxwell pardon to Trump, which he now denies that, I guess.
Obviously, he did that.
Yeah, clearly he did. I don't know why Ian Maxwell would lie.
If you recall, when she was arrested, if you go back, he was saying all these statements, such as, she really, deserves this or that. He was very sympathetic of her plight, the fact that she's been charged, because in his mind, he's been erroneously accused. So he was sort of putting himself in her shoes and being very sympathetic to her. So it wouldn't have surprised me if he advocated for her in some way. I'm not saying he did, but it wouldn't surprise me if he did.
Yeah.